week number 3, the final week of the LCS Game Changers Exhibition Weeks. Week 3, final week. We only have one more week after this, and this is, of course, the LAN in LA Finals. But before we get there, first of all, once again, I'm Camcom, joined today once again by the lovely Pastry.
Hello.
And I did mention it a little bit before, but yes, this is the format. So we have had 1, 2, and now week number 3 of these exhibition matches. So it is a little bit of a triple round robin. Every team plays 2 games every day against every other team. Only 3 teams in this tournament, and then next week we will have a second and third place best of 3 live on stage, and then the winner of that one will take on the first place team in the final best of 3.
Certainly will. If you haven't been here, by the way, hello, welcome. But I don't know where you've been. It's
Welcome.
been absolutely bangers. Back-to-back Saturdays, with the finals being next week. Speaking of, you may see a innocuous-looking little lower third down there on the bottom half of your screen. If you're in chat right now, you can type !tickets and get information about how you can claim your free tickets. That's right, free, F-R-E-E. Still have seats open as far as I can tell. If you're in LA or are traveling to for whatever reason, and you want to come see some League of Legends, this is a great event to come for. You can claim your tickets right now in the chat. Spam it. I know you love to spam chat. Don't hold yourself back. This is the one time I'm going to tell you to actually spam something.
Yes, please. That ! Tickets. You can come see myself and Jolly casting live in the LCS studio. I believe tickets are limited, though. We definitely had a lot of tickets go missing after last weekend, so probably most of them will also go missing after this weekend. You definitely want to get them before they all go out. But we've got some teams to talk about here at Pastry. We have, in fact, 3 teams. This is the standings that we've come to after 2 full weeks of games. Once again, Astrocats, off of the back of a 4-0 win streak from last week, and now sitting very solidly at the top of the table, 7-1. Arcana and Serenity a little bit closer together there at the bottom there, second and third. Only 1 single game between the 2 of those teams.
Yeah, definitely looking like Astrocats are a win away from being clear first, so we'll see if they can keep that streak up.
And here, once again, is the squad for you on the Astrocats. You've got Mermina in the top lane, Fico as your jungler, Fairy Girl in the mid lane, and then Avril and Billyworth as your bot lane. And again, Solaria and Marbles for your coach and manager duo. And again, Astrocats is actually paired up with Team Liquid. Moving back on to second place over here is Arcana, my personal, definitely not biased at all, favorite team. Once again, Aquatic in the top lane. You got Emphy as your jungler, Ayakura in the mid lane, Ryo as your AD carry, and Shirley in support. And the beautiful Summer and Gabrielle as your coach and manager. And Arcana is actually paired up with NRG.
And last but not least, it is Serenity. They are currently in third, but as we've said, not too far away as far as games go, especially battling for that second seed. Shysept in top lane, Shapeshift their jungler, Miss Timo in mid, Yumichi their bot laner, Heloisia their support, and Coach Macros and Manager Perchance. They are paired up with the Golden Guardians. Really cool to see LCS teams taking some of these teams under their wing. I'm sure they'll be providing a place to train when they're actually here physically in LA. Really cool to see a lot of different people giving to this program and trying to mentor a lot of these players, coaches, and managers and people that have been involved. But nice to see the LCS teams themselves step up and provide something here.
Absolutely. And for, once again, our final exhibition matches, right? This is your best of 2 schedule for today. So our first match will be a best of 2 between Astrocats and Serenity. Next up, we'll have Serenity versus Arcana, and then Arcana versus Astrocats. And just in case you haven't seen any best of 2 games, it is a block of 2. Basically, for each of these matchups, there is no third game tiebreaker, so you can, in fact, go 1-1. Which I actually like.
Me too. And if you're familiar with best of 2 formats, you may be familiar with kind of the point system where it's 3 points for a clear win and 1 each for a draw. That is not the way it's working here. It's actually just pure game score. But again, the volume of games you're playing in this round robin and the amount of times these 3 teams are playing each other, that's pretty reasonable way to determine how we're going to seed them. Because again, all 3 teams will actually make it to LA. It's just first we'll only have to play 1 best of 3, the grand finals itself, where second and third are going to play off for that final slot against whoever ends up in first. And as we've said, it is looking like the Astrocats. I think everyone on that team really stepped up last week. And I think for me, the biggest one was bottom lane, actually. Avril just went off in basically every game.
Avril and honestly Muramina in the top
Yes.
lane too, right? I think all three of the top laners maybe had a rough week 1, and then week 2, like all three of them like super impressed me in different ways, honestly. Very, very fun to see the evolution of these teams. Like you were mentioning earlier with the LCS teams actually picking some of or all of them up at this point now, but it was only some of them last week, so even that has kind of evolved over the past couple of weeks, and now we're finally here. We're finally here to see, can anybody take down the Astrocats? They have only gone one series, not 2-0, and that was a 1-1 against Arcana.
Yep.
Serenity is actually yet to take a game off of the Astrocats, so them being the first matchup today, I would love to see Serenity take at least one game off of them today.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the great thing about anything like this, when it's a super condensed tournament format, is that teams don't have all that much time together, but you kind of in the pressure cooker playing on the same patch, you end up understanding and evolving and learning as players very quickly, which is definitely one of the points of the program. So I'm curious if Serenity have anything, because they brought the spice in the final draft in this exact matchup to end last week. Very curious to see how week 3 is going to kick off.
We had some very spicy drafts from both of these teams, like you said, in the final series of last week. But speaking of the Astrocats, I hear that we have a secret little Astro Gap video that they have put together for us.
I'm very scared of the Astrocats here.
We
do have a 2v1 brewing here on the top side of the rift. Oh goodness, Miku finds the angle, flash into the wall we go, and Aquatic still getting and cutting out of the way, but no, you are correct, does not live in need. Muramina flashing into the final queue. Oh, good, because I know where Fiku is, and that's exactly what's happening. As it could be trouble here. Diana dashing in again, looking for the play. It's Avril getting ignited. Yumichi gonna dive on him, but it is a step too far. Avril getting the kill, nailing.
It is also got a 1v1 here in
That's
mid
a
lane.
banger.
Let's flash away from his team, although there we go, just about able to dash away in time. In fact, Arcana is the ones pushing out
goodness.
Astrocats for now, but that's probably not where you want to be as the Arcana squad.
It's so spicy. Why are we starting at Fiku? Okay, they're going to try and kill the jungle. That was the play. Ryle finds the shutdown. That's huge, but it's still Avril popping off, and the gold lead is a little too big. It's a double. It's a triple. It might be a quadra. The penta once again.
3-man charm, and here comes damage from Muramina as well. The rest of the team is asleep, but they're not going to be asleep for very long. Got to watch out for Avril with the feathers, as well as Fairy Girl with all of these extra charms. There's so much CC, so much damage. Shystep doing as much as she can on the backline on her own, but everyone is still alive. And in the end, the clean series up for Astrocats. They will end up taking the 2-0.
Just
Beautiful.
barely a single blemish on the record. Unstoppable.
Beautiful video. I love all of these videos that the teams have created as well. I think we might even have another video for you later today. A little bit of a spoiler alert there, but yeah, any video, any content that these teams have put together has been super, super high quality. Again, that has actually been a major point for the LCS Game Changers this year, is teaching these teams about marketing, about content creation, about these things that are not just part of the game, but definitely a very important part if any of these players, most of these players in fact, are looking to go pro. So it is very important that they are looking towards their content creation if they wish to go pro. And we have, as you can see now, moved straight into draft for game 1 of our first best of 2 for today.
Yep, shout out to Silvix Productions helping the Astrocats out on that one, but again, shout out to the Astrocats for putting it together. It is nice to see the program trying to cover as many things as possible, not just the players that we're going to have on our screen. Pretty unsurprising to kick off this draft. Azir getting banned away from his teamer has been about the most commonplace thing. I think she played a few games, and then everyone was like, yeah, didn't like that one so much. Gonna make sure to ban that one away. LeBlanc also been a pretty consistent ban from Fairy Girl, and I thought we weren't gonna have to talk about her. We did get to lay it by a pick, but Rel is banned because Heloisia is on the enemy team.
Heloisia definitely, I don't know if she's still maintaining this position, but was at least at one point in the past couple of weeks rank 1 Rel NA. Rank 1 Rel, that is a little bit of a tongue twister, but we have still yet to see a single game of Rel being unbanned against Serenity. Maybe
Correct.
in LA, maybe next game, maybe a game later today, but would love to definitely see Alosia on the Rel at some point. But the rest of these, if you've watched any previous LCS game changes for the past couple of weeks, all of these picks have been picked at least once, and definitely, other than Rel maybe, been shown to have some very strong cover picks for all of these players.
Yeah, you are correct. Rel, I think, still hasn't gotten through. And
I don't think we've seen any Rel.
No, we have not. And that may be the case for the entire tournament. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Jarvan, though, we've certainly seen both banned and picked. And Swain, that is not an accident. That is a very much a targeted ban for Fairy Girl. We've tried to play with the Swain. We've tried to take it away. We've tried to give it over. Basically, all iterations of Fairy Girl getting Swain haven't worked out. So it looks like the teams may be just settling on banning it for now.
Swain, or Fairy Girl, actually got Swain 2 times last week, both of them against Arcana, and both of them were very, very solid wins for her, going 3-1-9 and 11-0-6 respectively. But to nobody's surprise, if you've been paying attention to the patch, once again, we're on patch point 13.17 for the entirety of the tournament, including next week. Xayah and Rakan and probably Kai'Sa will be some still very popular bot lane choices. Luckily, they're not on the same team, but we still got to worry about both these champions.
Yeah, it looks like with Jarvan banned, it is Zinzao going to be the pick there for Shapeshift, wanting to take one of the more priority junglers here. We've seen a lot of different approaches to jungle, but certainly J4 and then Zen seems to be the top two as of right now, but we've seen lots of tank junglers. We've seen, I think, some unique junglers as teams are trying to figure out exactly how they want to approach playing these matchups. This is something that actually I believe Billyworth is responsible for, though. A ton more Braum coming into their draft, so really like to see that picked up here.
Braum was a surprisingly high priority pick all day last week. I think Billyworth alone picked it 3 out of her 4 games. That just massively skyrocketed Braum throughout the entirety the priority out of the entirety of the tournament as well. And I want to talk a little bit more about Shapeshift Zinzao. Shapeshift kind of historically has talked about herself being exclusively a power farm clearing jungler, right? I'm always playing the Lily, I'm always playing the junglers that can farm till 6 and then gank really well. But I think she talked a little bit about it in an interview last week where she wanted to focus more on these early ganking different kind of style junglers, that she's more of a versatile, better jungler, especially in team compas. We got the Kai'Sa.
Yep.
Didn't want to see it, but we got it.
I mean, it's fun. At least 2 reasonably high priority ADs are on the table here with Xayah and Kai'Sa. I do like your point about Shapeshift. She did play Bel'Veth, so there is obviously still that on the table. And in general, Shapeshift has demonstrated how good she is at power clearing, even on the junglers that don't clear nearly as quickly as the ones that maybe she prefers. Very efficient, so it's something Fiku's going to have to figure out. Shaisep continues to get Kayle banned against her, which at this point I'm kind of mad about, because I just want to see what happens when the Kayle gets unleashed. But instead it's going to be Yone and Sejuani on the other side, with Astrocats have a ban to go.
I would love to see a Kayle in one of these games. Both of these teams gave us very, very spicy drafts last week, but that was because they were the final series of the day. This week they're the first series of the day. There's definitely the spiciness level scales throughout the day, I think. Yes. So maybe, I'm gonna check real quick. Our final matchup for today is Arcana versus Astrocats. So we still do have Astrocats, but maybe more spice that draft, maybe not. I'm not too sure, but we do have yet another Orianna. We've had a lot of these mid-mage 1v1 matchups. I was about to say the Syndra Orianna is probably our top matchup in the mid lane so far, and this game is going to be no different. Yeah,
I won't give you the spiel of this game, but we'll see. If it does become more commonplace, I can talk at length about this matchup. It's thrilling. No, seriously, I actually really like it. Interesting to see the Ornn ban. I will say there's the last one, because that, I believe, has been a pure Muramina champion all tournament long. So clearly being picked up by more of the top laners wanting to take the option away. Graves over Fiku is definitely something they are super comfortable on. And looks like finally a bit more Kabyle as the final pick there. Pretty quickly one as well for Shaisep, who has been piloting many a carry in the top lane.
I'm very excited to see this Graves actually for Fiku. Fiku's gotten to play it one single game so far in the Game Changers, but it's actually probably her most comfortable pick in solo queue. So I'm excited to see how that transitions from her previously Graves game was only on our week 1, so now week 3 plus even more solo queue time for the Graves should make for a very exciting jungle matchup. I think Graves versus Zinzao is always a fun jungle matchup, but now it's Fiku versus Shapeshift there as well.
Yeah, if you were paying attention, astute viewers of that video we ran before this game started may have noticed the Astrocats cats at the bottom of the video, kind of at like the end.
They were hard to miss.
The whole team being represented in their cat form, and they were all different champions. And I assume some of their favorite and more comfortable champions. And you may have spotted, if you were eagle-eyed, Fiku's cat was Graves. So
I actually didn't notice that.
there you go. Everyone
I
go
thought
back,
they were
rewind.
cats, but not champions. Okay,
They are
I'll take your word for
They
it.
are both cats and champions. It was very
Beautiful.
beautifully done.
I just love that art style. It's like such a cute art style, but it's still like, it's not cute enough where it doesn't convey enough information that if you can clearly tell that this cat is trying to be a Graves, that's pretty good art, honestly.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what Fiku gets up to in the early game here. Definitely, it's funny. We've almost swapped jungle preferences. I mean, Fiku's been pretty flexible as far as junglers they've played, but Graves is the kind of jungler Shapeshift would really like to play with a pretty decent clear, wanting to just kind of farm comfortably. So we'll see kind of how the difference plays out. Again, Shapeshift to kind of play, even though they've been pushing themselves into something not as comfortable in, which is always great to see. That's something that I think you should take advantage of in an environment like this. Obviously, she also understands how to play the farming junglers, so perhaps can exploit knowledge of a champion like Graves with the pathing, especially because they're starting on opposite sides of the rift. We've seen a lot of junglers pathing bot so far, so a bit of a difference here for Shapeshift.
Absolutely. I want to talk about bot lane here too. We have some very fun summoner spells, I think, across like everybody here in the bot lane. We have an Exhaust Ignite combination here for Serenity, which kind of is a more aggressive combination, honestly. There's no cleanse, there's no ghost, there's no heal, nothing defensive like that. No, we are going all in with that Ignite plus Exhaust combo. Then Avril has actually opted instead for that Ghost. I think Ghost is actually a really uncommon but secretly powerful summoner spell for these slightly more immobile champions like the Xayah, right? Where you want to be able to run in really fast, but the Ghost is such a lower cooldown that it's going to be more helpful than having the Flash in most scenarios as well. And of course that Exhaust for Billyworth. I think Exhaust has been a lot more powerful than Ignite in recent years. Maybe Ignite is still going to be more popular, but I actually much prefer Exhaust.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's almost a tactile thing for players, I think, where the power of Exhaust is basically not represented in using the spell, where Ignite, you fully understand how good it is every time you click on the button, and it's extremely satisfying. So sometimes that's an instance of like players, look, not every player reads patch notes, okay? Not every player is going to read the tooltip and think about the numbers and how much better they might be.
Don't read?
Yeah, I know. It's shocking. Card games and League of Legends players, it's the same. They don't read. Does Muramina actually take a lot of damage here in the trade and top side? Shycept, this is a dive angle, but it's pretty risky 1v1.
I was thinking the exact same thing. Shycept did opt for that TP, but you see Shapeshift walking her way up here the top lane. Muramina does not want to miss this massive wave crashed under her turret right now, but the dive might be a little too late. Stunned under the turret. Muramina is still alive, but Shapeshift flashing away just in time. That's actually a super clean dive by them, and that denies a lot of experience from Muramina as well.
That was beautifully played by both players on Serenity there. Shycept setting it up on the Camille, had the advantage, had the slow push, and then Shapeshift gets called up to top lane and executes beautifully on the dive. Only has to use the flash. There's trouble here for Heloisha. Fiku trying to get some damage. Done the blast cone though. Gonna get Rakan to safety.
Getting Rakan back to safety. I think we didn't get to see Lucia a whole lot there because there was a top lane dive, but I was assuming that she was just trying to go in for a little bit of a deep ward, probably on the chicken pit. Oh yeah, you do actually see it on your map there, a very deep ward on the enemy red buff. So she got that, and luckily didn't actually die for it. Yep, there you go. Thank you, observers. That's a really nice word early in the game. That should spot out, I would think, 90% of the ganks in the bot lane, honestly.
Yeah, the only one you're going to miss, and I know this because I died with it a lot, is when your mid laner is going to roam from mid to bot. But right now, Miss Team is actually pushing in that lane, so obviously has track of where the Syndra is. I guess as a mid laner now, it's less that I die to that roam, it's that my bot lane dies to that roam. Even though I do a very astute, flawless, definitely have never messed it up job of pinging it every single time it happens, and have totally not lost track of my mid laner and had my solo queue teammates die. That's never happened.
I just want to point out real quick, the actual vision line. I know vision is like the least exciting thing to talk about in League of Legends, but look at this vision line right now that Serenity has actually set up. You have all 4 entrances actually covered. That is something I'm going to give a huge shout out here to their coach Macris actually for this vision line. This is something that it's so hard to drill into players' heads because it requires an entire team worth of communication and getting it down right. The execution of this vision line is actually so difficult. And I'm just going to give a massive shout out to Serenity and the specific coach Macris for, I'm assuming probably they did a lot of vision drills in the past week.
I mean, it does also give Serenity access to the dragon. I mean, yes, there's some vision here, but Shapeshift just gone ahead and straight up started it with the bottom lane pushing. We'll see what happens here.
Fiku definitely knows, does have the dash over the wall. They're going to engage onto Fiku. The Ignite going to be taken down onto her as well. Exhaust, flash over the wall. Verigo walking up, but all on her own on the top side. 1,600 left on the dragon. It's going to be a smite fight. Shockwave a little bit too early, and in fact, it's going to Fiku with the smite steal. But now you got to run away. You don't have flashes to get back over the wall. Yumichi so low man, and only level 4 for all members of the bot lane. But flash over the wall, Yumichi still alive. The bot lane for Serenity get to walk away, and I mean, that was so well played by both members, or both teams even. Serenity picking up 4 kills. Astrocats got 1 plus the dragon.
What a Kaisa moment there for Yumichi. So well played to pick up the kill on the back of that, using the geometry of the dragon pit there. And then I think just hitting Q and like kind of Kaisering all over them. That happens sometimes. Acathian Rain's a pretty good spell. Well, if we get a replay, I'll maybe pinpoint it a little bit more accurately. But 2-0-1 early game here for Serenity. They're up about 1,000 gold, and most of that gold is concentrated onto their Kaisa. Cannot be upset with how that went, even though they did lose the dragon.
Avril, very, very large wave crash down there in the bot lane. I think that may have been why the Astrocat bot lane was a little bit late to that party. Muramina, though, caught out here in the top lane, potentially does not have that flash available. She's just trying to walk it out. Shisa flashes to confirm the kill for her jungler there. Potentially not a needed flash, but you know what? It gets the kill either way.
Yeah, it's a better safe than sorry situation there. Aatrox was doing Aatrox thing where Aatrox healed up a bunch, as we'll watch this one again. Again, watch Yumichi. Fiku does manage to get out of there, and now you're kind of trapped in the pit, and Syndra's 6, so really nice scat of the week here from Fairygo. Gets that stun. Shapeshift gets low, gets shielded up by the Rakan. Dragon's kind of like a loose, so it's just kind of everyone hits smite and sees what happens. Yeah. And then Yumichi hits the low health Fiku. That one's easy. Now has to kite out the 2 other carries, finds the angle despite getting stunned here, and says Fairy goes low, flash, auto. Actually didn't even need Akatia range. Just must have been enough plasma stacked up there, but found a very creative way out to secure a second kill for herself as well. Really nicely played by both teams, but it is Serenity that ends up better in that exchange. Just barely though, with the dragon not going over.
Absolutely, just barely. And also, pretty major part of that fight, right, was the fact that only mid laners had their ultimates unlocked, right? Yeah. Nobody else was even above level 4. I think the supports might have even been level 3 there. And having a team fight when half of your team is still level 3, level 4 is exponentially harder, especially because typically you're drafting team fight comps around ultimates. And the fact that you only have a shockwave, or you only have, oh no, Syndra ult, that one. What is it? It's not Primordial Burst. That's Vigar. Something around that.
Unleashed power? I don't remember anymore. Everyone just calls it the outscore button.
Why do I know Vigar ult but not Syndra ult?
That, you know what? That's a very good question.
I don't know. Bye-bye, Herald. I love the Herald. Like, did they give Herald a movement speed boost? I swear Herald walks a lot faster than she used to.
Maybe. I think, I know the monsters, when they run out of patience, scatter back to home at top speed. So might just be that situation. But, you know, it could be move speed buff. Not something I'm going to pay attention to. Let me tell you, the jungle is a scary and complicated place that I don't want anything to do with.
So true.
But Shapeshift did start up the Herald. I do appreciate Serenity being proactive, starting their objectives. Unfortunately, 2 for 2 on starting the objective accidentally for the enemy team, as Astrocats are going to go ahead and pick that up. And this time, unlike the Dragon fight, no team fight for Serenity to hang their hat on, just having to give that Herald away as it is now in the pocket of Fiku.
They had the right timing on starting it, but just not quite the right wave states, I think, for actually being able to finish it. Avril not really allowed to walk up to this wave. I think that plate was actually solo gold for Michi there as well, and just really good zoning by not only Helosia, but you also saw Miss Timo hanging around the bot lane there a little bit as well. I don't think she was necessarily on a ward, but just her presence not being seen at mid lane definitely gave enough of a threat for Avril to miss, I think, basically that entire wave of experience, which is going to mean quite a lot for some of these scaling AD carries, right? Yeah,
the kills and assists obviously giving Yumichi a bit of an advantage. Both are ticking down their calls, and you can even see a bit of a CS lead as well. So Yumichi, I know we talked about Ryle a lot in the earlier stages of the tournament, and I'm happy to see her play again later in the day. We do talk about Avril at the top of the day, but Yumichi has silently become a very good performing AD carry in this event. And this is, I think, building on the work she did in the last few weeks, already showing up in this game. It has been on more later game carries. We saw the Zeri getting banned. That was a big pick for her in last week's set of games on Saturday. And even, on a meta like Kai'Sa, who does scale pretty well, but obviously any carry that gets a lead is going to be happy in the early stages of the game. I guess all this to say that Yumichi has been a player that has slowly impressed me, and I think one worth talking about that we'll likely talk about a lot, given that teams have had a lot of focus on their bottom lanes performing this tournament.
Absolutely. A lot of focus on the bot lane. Also going to get a shout out to Alosia there as well. She's been putting on just as much, if not even more work. I think this bot lane duo specifically has probably seen or shown the most growth as a combined synergistic duo. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going to make up the word. Sounds like a smart word to me. Very scary jungle right here.
Oh boy.
Alosia just jumping straight in. You see him, you jump in, and you are just dead. Diabone, the Featherstorm very early. Blast Cone into the enemy. Triple knockback from Shapeshift, and just like that, it's a full disengage. Astrocats are very happy to walk away with just the 1-4-0.
Mistino does have ulti. Gonna pop it here. Oh, good flash. There we go. Gets out of there.
Really good flash there by Farrago. I think if that shockwave landed and Shysept had the, hookshot E available, whatever that is, definitely would have been a kill.
That is the one.
I got it right. Oh my goodness.
Look at you go. Muramina slapping the turret in top lane there, getting some plate gold for herself. And once again, it will be Serenity starting up the dragon. This time, it looks like there will be no contest. Pushing into the enemy jungle, kind of forcing them back, getting that flash off of mid, all of that pressure translating to a recall timing here for Astrocats, and that leaves Serenity nice and open to take this dragon, this time without any interruption, which I'm sure they'll be happy about, as they'll split those first two drakes one apiece.
Serenity has shown, honestly, in the first already 12 minutes of this game, massive improvements over the past couple of weeks. They have been on top of these objectives. Even if they've only actually been able to finish one, they have started all three all on their own. Shysept, I think, maybe cannot walk out this one alive. Hexacle to bait him to buy a second extra for her life, but will still end up falling. Fiku does have the Rift Shell up here as well. I think she's probably just waiting until one more plate falls. Yep, there it is. This tower is just gone.
That is a ton of gold being gifted over between the jungler and top here for Astrocats. And the gold lead Serenity had, that kill is going to flip it over, and this tower is going to bust it wide open for this early game.
For sure.
1,500 gold or so up. Nice stuff there for Astrocats. Muramina was, I was going to say, struggling after that dive, but actually quickly checking the CS numbers. Looks like Aatrox is more than happy in the 1v1. Shysept the kind of player that really does build leads for herself very well as a solo player, and I thought calling the jungler would have maybe given her enough of an edge to start grinding out an advantage, but Muramina continuing to be the quiet overachiever on this team. Whether it's on or a carry like Aatrox, showing up on just about every matchup. Again, you've mentioned it, all the top laners here have been great, but that is super impressive, and translating those resources to that Herald, now getting yourself your Eclipse, this Aatrox is a problem for whatever next fight or duel happens.
For sure, and Fiku on the Graves as well, by the way, is a massive problem. She had the Trinity Force completed before even taking the tower. Now imagine how much gold she's actually sitting at. Trinity Force plus however much this is going to be at least completed boots on her next back, possibly even a full another half an item. We've got Dragon number 3 here. It is going to be a Cloud Soul this game. I think we've probably seen the least amount of Cloud Souls out of any Dragon. I used to have that stat. That stat has now disappeared from my stats, but in fact, in the first week, I don't think we had a single Cloud Soul.
Wow. NA is a Cloud Soul enjoying region, so kind of surprised to see that. Looks like we forgot to rig the RNG for this tournament, I guess. Maybe the patch changed things, but always nice to see a Cloud Soul. Especially these patches, you can see Shysept actually camping right in front of one. Gives you the opportunity to kind of zip around and really translate rapidly between the lanes. I don't mind the dive setup here, but Astrocats answering very quickly, and Braum is continuing to just be a problem for people. We kind of saw it in the last play, actually, where they hid in a bush and got a pick at instant speed. That is just like one of the things Braum passive gives to you. Braum's whole kit is pretty good, but the passive's really the icing on the cake, and Billy Worth, I think, is understanding the power of the champion, maybe in a tournament like this especially, consistently bringing that to bear here, and causing some trouble, although unfortunately Yumichi is still pressuring down the bottom side here with the static shift done nice and early. Avril not too far behind, but that's going to be a tower over to Serenity in short order.
I think Braum specifically is going to be continuing to be a very high priority pick, if not a priority ban for the rest of today, if not the rest of next week as well. Billy Worth going 3-0 on the champion alone last week. And just once again, continuing this week, showing really, really strong comfort on the champion, as well as knowledge of how to actually pilot the champion and get a couple of kills for the team so far. First objective started up this first game here by the Astrocats, and with the waves in the top lane just not being in Serenity's favor whatsoever, will be that second Rift Herald in a row going over to the Astrocats, most likely I would think dropping this mid lane.
Yeah, it feels like things are starting to go from bad to worse, and the gold lead doesn't really reflect the trouble that Serenity could be in if Astrocats kind of cleanly snowball games like we've seen them do in so much of this tournament, especially the latter half of last week. I felt like the Astrocats, obviously, they're 4-0, so have found some pretty obvious momentum. And things like this, just understanding that you can pick people off here. Mumia could do this on her own, but needs a bit of help on the damage department here because there's no CC for the Graves, and should be enough damage here. That shield kick it in. Nice Camille passive, gonna save the day there for Shyceptors. Trouble in paradise! Mid lane here is Shapeshifter trying to dive in, but Avril being protected by the Braum.
The AD carry 1v1 is never truly a 1v1.
No.
All AD carry should that Avril does not have Ghost Veil, but in fact will continue chasing down Alosia. I think Alosia being just about able to run away in time. Oh no. Okay, everybody's okay. Back to mid lane.
They had the
Looks like
rest.
everyone is perfectly fine except for Alosia.
Yeah, Swapsy there it almost looked like. That was exciting. Have to figure out what was going
excited.
on. Yeah, but for now it's just a push in mid lane instead. Astrocats 5 strong, 5v4 right now as Rakan's still dead for a couple seconds. Mid tower gonna be low! Gonna start off the fight though, but Billyworth running in, Interfere and Shapeshift trying to find the angle. But no ulti there for the Orianna. Again, they've got all the buttons to press for a teamfight combination, but Dragon is up and the Astrocats are considering staying around a little too long perhaps here for this objective. Muramina individually very strong, but now that the team is respawned, I don't think Astrocats want to pick a 5v5 right now.
Astrocats only have the Aatrox ult available. Everyone else's ult is on cooldown right now. This is actually the perfect timing for Serenity, to start the Dragon up. They've been doing it every Dragon so far this game, and this is definitely a solid one to claim for yourselves. Potentially, I'm not going to say it quite yet, potentially Dragon number 2 here for Serenity. And that was an interesting team fight in the mid lane where Serenity clearly wanted to go in, right? They used two important engage spells to engage, but neither of them worked together, and neither of them, luckily for Serenity at least, actually resulted in an engage.
Yeah, interesting back and forth. We'll see what happened here, I suppose, because Yumichi just kind of vibing in mid. This is the 1v1 that started it all. So again, Yumichi's like, you know what, I can get this kill. And everyone's like, I can get this kill. And
1v1.
everyone else, exactly, comes in, make it a dual 2v2. Yumichi has to recall. So that was what happened. Yumichi's going out of here. Aloysia, yeah, taking a little too much damage. Fairygo, absolute pinpoint. Scout of the week, flashes in, pops the ulti. And the TP's coming in, but unfortunately a little bit missynced there. Shyset was TPing in right as Kai'Sa did the swap back with the recall because we knew Yumichi was too low to join that fight. So a bit disjointed. Results in the Dragon going over as a result of the cooldowns that we used. So an interesting situation, but at the end of the day, the Dragon for Serenity traded for this advantage that Astrocats have. Still game within touching distance for Serenity, but Astrocats again, this is the kind of team that when they get hold of a lead, they very stubborn, tend not to let it go.
That is something that has been, like you said, so consistent from Astrocats every single week so far. You give them a lead, they're never, ever going to let that go. And that has only gotten better for them over the past couple of weeks, right? Even week 1, I think, we saw them even let go of a lead, and they were still able to bring it back. That was the, not 40-minute, but definitely one of our longer games of the entire tournament so far, was just Astrocats constantly being ahead and really always knowing where to be when they're ahead too.
Absolutely. So Serenity have all the pieces, have the team fight buttons to press. We have Orianna, we have Camille, have Rakan. That will start just about any fight you want to try and pick here, but Serenity are going to have to be careful with what they do. I have to imagine they're happy to chill out for a little bit and keep the game kind of floating at this point. Make sure the goal doesn't fall too far out of hand. Only 3,000 down. It's not insignificant, but certainly not a runaway game just yet for the Astrocats as Serenity continue to stay proactive. And obviously they have an easier goal here of just going after every Dragon and forcing some team fights around objectives. I'm starting to get a touch worried though, because Astrocats carries, they've got a lot of damage baked into the top half of this map in particular. And obviously the 80 carry is continuing to stay as the game goes on. But for me, I think the standout player, again, continues to be Muramina. This Aatrox is just so strong. Like 40 CS ahead of Shysept. Despite the 2 deaths, Aatrox is just slowly but surely taking over this game.
Man, you're gonna make me go on another one of my top lane wave management rants. Where I'm just like, all of these top laners are so good at wave management, but it's so hard to talk about because every time I do, there's a team fight that breaks out because it takes so long to explain the wave management of top lane, and then it's like, oh no, there's a team fight. Look at this. Look at this. They're fighting. The second I start talking about wave management, that's crazy. This is why I've banned myself from talking about wave management. But just trust me that Muramina has done it really well so far this game. Shysept forced flash away there, and Shysept alone has just not been left alone in the top lane.
Yep.
Right? Like, she got, what, like 2 or 3 ganks from Viku in the early game, and that alone caused pretty massive CS deficit for her, and now her entire tower being gone, she has not been allowed to push past her inner turret for about the past 10 minutes, and now her inner turret is also gone.
Yeah, it's a big long lane to try and play yourself out of. It's definitely rough stuff there for Shysept, who very independent player, great individually, loves to play 1v1s, play carries. Did call Shapeshift for the first blood, so that was obviously a nice way to kick it off, but Astrocats pretty rapidly recognizing what was happening and then bringing Viku up enough times to try and open up the lane in the other side. There is going to be Baron started here for the Astrocats, but Serenity know what's up, and they're going to run over ASAP.
ASAP, 7k left on the Baron, but Shysept is a little bit behind. Or Shapeshift even is a little bit behind the rest of the
They're
team.
committing.
2k left on the Baron. They have to get in the pit, and it's not in time. Astrocats already finishing the Baron. TP coming in on the bot lane.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, back in the bot lane. Back onto Shapeshift. Does look like Shapeshift
They got 2 kills!
Ooh, 2 kills already. Yumichi flashing over the wall. Avril not going to be getting away very safely for very long, but back here on bot side, Aloysia not quite in range for the knock up there, and looks like Astrocats survived with 3 members keeping the Baron.
Yeah, Eloisa going kind of deep to try and find kill number 3, but I'll take the 2 they got. Unfortunately, Astrocats did actually get the Baron because they took it very quickly. I mentioned the damage they had on the top side of the map. That's kind of one of the things you get when you draft an extra damage source, and Graves has been happily farming away. Still worth 350 bonus gold is Viku. That Baron just died quicker than Serenity expected as we kind of watch how this team fight all played out. Baron's dead at this point, and they know they have to start the team fight.
Yeah.
Shysept tries to dive in, forces the ulti out of Avril. Billyworth forced to tank, gets back, and then there's kind of just someone left behind. Muramina can't fight on her own, even being a very strong Aatrox, and then Shapeshift with the re-engage is what makes the difference here, as Avril barely able to find the blast going out to safety. Yumichi wanted that kill very badly, but did not get away with it.
Oh, meanwhile, Serenity actually finishing their 3rd dragon of the game as well. Looked like it was just a little bit of a dragon dance, but no actual contest really from the Astrocats. Serenity still, I'm going to keep saying it, has been on top of these objectives this game, right? They were just 2 or 3 seconds late to that Baron. Imagine if they were 2 or 3 seconds earlier to that Baron, it would have been a totally different story. They just slightly underestimated the damage that the Astrocats actually were able to do the Baron, because even after the Baron, right, most teams, if the Baron is gone and you're still trying to look for the fight, most teams would in fact back off at that point, but Serenity knew, like, we can still take a team fight. We might be down a little bit in gold, but the Dragon lead in itself will still keep Serenity in the game, even if their gold lead is about 4k down right now.
Yeah, managed to move that over to that Dragon as well. Astrocats almost got in the area to maybe contest, but Dragon went down pretty swiftly. Much less tanky than Baron, of course, and Serenity have been on top of it, as you mentioned. Made a little bit more impressive by the fact that they just don't have very much room on the Rift right now. It's almost 24 minutes into this game, and you can see that mid tower's got about 30% of its health left, and it's one of those things that, unless you played or watch a ton of League, it might not be that obvious, but that mid tower being up actually creates so many problems for trying to control the center of the map, where the 2 big objectives are this Dragon Soul that's going to be up for Serenity in 3.5 minutes, and of course the Baron that we back up in 3.5. You just don't have a lot of space, and when you don't have space, it's hard to actually get your team into the area, get the vision set up, and then actually find a favorable angle for a team fight. So Serenity being very vigilant about their objectives is nice to see. I just, for their sake, hope they can open up a little bit more space on the Rift. Just like that is Yumichi. A magic trick in the mid lane. Avril disappears.
That was a bounty, by the way. Avril had a bounty for that.
They're gonna save Yumichi though.
Michi down here in the bot lane. Viku does have an exhaust on her. She's trying to deal the damage, but the Cinder ult over the wall is massive. Fairy Girl, though, not quite enough damage to actually finish anyone off. Just buys a couple of extra seconds before Viku also ends up falling. Wow, I mean, The damage coming out from Serenity is just unmatched. They know their damage so well, and Farragirl, again, these abilities that are so crucial, they land but just 1 second too early or 1 second too late. If it was just a little bit different, that could have almost been a full team ace for Astrocats.
Yeah, well, watch this one again. Yumichi W.
Oh man, this is disgusting.
Knows exactly what's up. Hello, I am Kai'Sa. That was sick.
Was that
I think that
isolated? I don't think that was isolated.
Killer Instinct, I think instant W and then just explosion as the plasma pops off. But this is the answer. Finds enough CC. Aatrox and Syndra have more than enough damage to blow up a Kai'Sa with no ultimate, especially. And Serenity do try and find the chase. Manage to get a kill back after the solo kill there in mid lane. But unfortunately for them, it's funny that I just mentioned it because Miss Timo's trying to hit this tower. Still not dead. It's getting close. It's like 15% HP left on that mid outer tower. But unfortunately, the objectives are coming up in a minute, so Serenity going to have to band together and try and open up a bit of space because they know this soul is where they're going to win this game.
Isn't it funny? If you look at just the standings right now, Pastry, Astrocats is 4-0 up on Serenity, right? Like, Serenity is still yet to take a game from the Astrocats, but you look at this current state of the game, right? It does not look like a team that is yet to take a game off another team. These teams are still so close. We've been saying it so much throughout the tournament at this point, right? But even still on week 3, it is only a 4,000, 3,000 gold difference. Serenity still has a pretty massive dragon lead. They're 1 minute away from a potential Cloud Soul. Miss Timo, don't jinx me right here. Really good flash there by Miss Timo, but of course, does mean she will not have flash for the Soul fight in a minute.
Yeah, I think Yumichi actually the big star of this exchange here. Popped 2 Ws onto Avril, chunked basically 50% of the enemy AD's health, and then opened up, gave them confidence to push in and take vision here around the enemy jungles. So they should have this dragon in 50 seconds. It's going to be pretty tough to contest for. In fact, Shapeshift's going to just find a pick instead. Going to make it even easier. Farragirl going to be the target. Killer Instinct after Xin Zhao starts the engagement, and that is going to be Farragirl shut down by the Xin Zhao as they keep on diving through. Yumichi blows up Biku. No jungler, no hope, as there is one back. Avril claims to kill as Muramina sets it up, but the shockwave absolutely huge. Trying to get the last few kills. Here's Yumichi popping off, diving back into the fight, but Muramina stands tall in the fight. The Orianna shields are not enough. Finally, Shapeshift gets the kill, but Muramina put in work.
Serenity are here to play it today. Miss Timo, massive shockwave as well. Basically single-handedly turning that team fight back around in the favor of Serenity. And just like that, 5 seconds left on that Cloud Soul spawn. That Cloud Soul is as good as Shapeshift's. She's been here every single dragon. She's only missed 1 single dragon. And now, for the first time, Serenity picking up their Soul against Astrocats and turning the gold lead even more in their favor as well.
Yeah, this is just a nice instance of catching Astrocats a little too far forward. Find one pick, Fiku trapped in the Hextech ultimatum, nowhere to run, and Aatrox is trying their heart out as Heloisa gets blown up. Re-engages there, but a shockwave. Forcing out the ulti, Avril's gonna have to flash away, but Shapeshift is chasing everybody down, gets the kill there, finds it onto Brilliworth, almost dies, and they realize they have to protect Yumichi, who's dove a little too far forward to try and get the kill, but all's well that ends well there, even though the AD carry dies. 4 kills and a dragon there for Serenity, losing only 2 is a trade they'll happily take.
I'm going to give a little bit of a shout out once again to Muramina. You're so far MVP of the game. Muramina did get a double kill. That was the only 2 kills Astrocats actually claimed in that fight, both on Muramina's head. Baron once gets started up by the Astrocats though, and Serenity know that they have enough damage to take this real quick. TP coming in once again in the pit. Shapeshift taking it, steals it once again for Serenity. So well played by Shapeshift, and now just take the T with you. Shockwave on the bot side, but the rest of the team isn't even alive to commend you. Fiku, last member standing, all of a sudden it's almost a clean ace for Serenity. They have turned this game straight back in their favor.
They're barreling down mid. I don't know if they can end the game, but I'm guarantee you that's the call that's being made here. They're going to at least do as much damage as they can. A substantial wave for the Baron, fresh off the heels of that steal out of Shapeshift. And this inhibitor is at least dead in mid lane. 20 seconds left. They're going to go for it here. Look at that positioning. They are going for the throat here. Can they finally take a game off the Astrocats? Tower going to go down here. Fiku's in defense, but that's not going to be enough. And that's it. The game's over. Next is going to be exposed. Serenity, they've done it. 4,000 gold behind. Don't mean nothing. Taking victory here to open up Game Changers Week 3.
Wow. Okay, where did Serenity from last week go? I don't know. Serenity Week 3 is a totally new team. Serenity putting the stop straight on it from game 1 of week 3. Astrocats, they're coming in today. They're coming in high. They were saying we're 4-0. We made the Astrocat video. We have the content. Serenity has the scale and Summoner's Rift for today. They did it.
I mean, needed to play teamfights well. Played teamfights very well, I think, is the high-level takeaway there for me. Yumichi, what a game. I can't stop thinking about the Zeri game last week where Zeri was so far ahead and just could not find enough purchasing teamfights to win the game. This time, Yumichi did not let this game get away from her. Had the kills on Kai'Sa, had the early lead, set up very nicely by the team. Beautiful partnership with Heloisa in the bottom lane once again. But that just honest, those teamfights look like Serenity were ahead with how clean they were. There was just not enough.
They were down like 3 or 4K in most of those team fights as overall team gold. But I mean, the engages were there. They separated the right members. They picked the right members off before team fights. Like all of these things. Once again, massive shout out. I'm going to double check real quick so I get this right. Serenity's coach, once again, Macros. Again, shout out Macros. I mean, they put something in their soup this morning. They learned something.
And kind of questioning a lot of things we knew at the end of last week, right? We knew Braum was an undefeated pick that seemed very good for Astrocats.
Yeah.
We're now losing on Braum. Rumina has consistently been a threat on both tanks and carries. Aatrox, one of the best top lane champions you can pick on the patch, picks up a loss. Verigil has consistently played Syndra into Orianna, had looked excellent in the matchup. And Fiku on a comfort pick here in Graves and a top 80 carry in Xayah. Like, this is a pretty ideal draft for Astrocats. They even got leads in places we kind of expected them to get them. And it just felt like the synergy was too good from Serenity. And maybe it's the comp, maybe it's the team. We'll find out as we play more games throughout the day, but I thought it was going to be a classic Astrocat snowball, and I was proven very wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, we do have our finals in LA next week. We got all the same teams, all the same beautiful faces in front of you right now, except for Pastry. Pastry that way will not be there, but you can claim your tickets to come see us in LA in person.
You can be there in person. That's even better.
Exclamation point tickets in the Twitch chat to come watch us play finals in person. Once again, that is second and third place, best of 3. And then winner of that takes on first place in the final best of 3. Previously, Astrocats was in real comfortable 7-1, but Serenity is giving them a little bit of run for their money.
Yeah, I did say they needed to win one game to, I believe, be mathematically out of reach for any team. We have played exactly one game. Still possible for a team to overtake them. I mean, especially this loss, right? Serenity were just barely in third coming into this week. So them taking a game of Astrocats potentially throws the wrench we wanted into the mix for our final week here before finals. Tough to say exactly what we're after here. I think we're mostly after bang a League of Legends. Thankfully, that gets delivered no matter what happens.
Speaking of content as well for these teams, if you would like to see even more content from these teams, follow the players on their Twitters. They have worked really hard on all of their branding, all of their personal public Twitter pages as well. There you go. There are the 3 Twitter pages for you. And once again, Arcana is our third and final team. We haven't gotten to see them play yet today, but they're still such a wonderful team. All of their logos, all of their marketing, everything super, super beautiful, super well done.
Yeah, absolutely. It means a lot when anyone hears that they're doing a good job. So if you're a fan of the teams or just the program itself, go ahead and follow them on Twitter and share some of that love. It means a lot to these players and the people managing these things. Again, these like real people managing, coaching, and handling all of the social. Like, it is the LCS season condensed into the smallest amount of time possible. And that includes everything from managing the team in a social to actually playing the games we're bringing to you today.
We're going to continue to say, I'm going to steal your line here,
Absolutely. I won't be there next week. I won't even know.
We've condensed an LCS season into just under 3 months here. Everything from the scouting to team creation to finding your manager, finding your coach, everything into just under 3 months and all the scrim time as well. These teams, Arcana themselves have only been playing together for these 3 exhibition matches. They didn't actually get a whole lot of practice time before the exhibition matches. I'm hoping that they've had more scrim time since the first week of exhibitions, but I'm excited to see them play once again later today. They will be in Series 2 and Series 3, but we've got at least one more game for Serenity versus Astrocats. Best of 2 series.
Yeah, I think everything we knew changes. This is the kind of game that really changes the texture of the tournament in just one fell swoop, which is always nice to see. Like, I thought it was going to be an easy Astrocats win. We were going to waltz up and be like, okay, great, you're first. Let's see what happens for the rest of the day. Both teams looked like they were on very comfy drafts, and Serenity just kind of took the ball and ran with it towards the latter half of that game, despite being down. So I'm expecting like a pretty significant amount of talking between these two teams, between this series, because I think there's a lot of different things, a lot of assumptions that maybe were being made that you now have to throw out the window. And this is the fun part of League of Legends. Even though it's not a full, odd number BOX series, it's just a best of two. How you adapt, how you want to change up your picks, especially because we have so much more experience and footage now of what picks are popular among the players on this patch, because again, they've had lots of time on it. I'm expecting anything from like decent to major changes of how the teams want to approach this next game, because we're probably going to have to throw out some move away from some of our target bans. We're probably going to have to change how we approach the game, because I don't think win lane win game is going to get us as far as it has so far. And those are pretty big things to change, and you can do a lot of different things to change them. So I'm very curious to see how these teams want to adapt just already after one game, which is not what I thought was going to happen. I thought we were going to have to wait a little longer for that to happen. So I'm glad it's happening now.
Well, we are already adapting a little bit here. Again, loser does have side select for game 2. Astrocats has selected red side for game 2. So Astrocats actually had side select for both of the games in this series. Everyone has a coin flip side select for at least one of their series for the first game. Then, like I said, loser takes side select game 2. Astrocats blue side, then red side. So they have already changed something in their draft plans. They could have chosen blue side again and gone for a similar strategy, but after a loss, typically you do want to change at least one thing. But we actually saw Astrocats run the same exact comp, except a different 80 carry last week. So at least we're not getting the same exact comp, I would think.
I wouldn't think so, as I believe we are waiting on a player who does have a small delay. Don't worry, we'll bring you the game as soon as it's ready. But I think now is a good time just to kind of take a step back. And hey, maybe this is the first game you're seeing of the stream. Maybe you've actually just tuned in. If you have, welcome. Thanks for joining us. What are we actually doing here, right? We're playing League of Legends. That's the obvious part. What is LCS Game Changers? This is the program that is a step towards more women and marginalized genders participating in competitive play. The goal is to showcase the talented players of marginalized genders and help tell their story, and also empower coaches and managers and general esports personnel, people that might be interested in the industry but don't understand, I want to do this, how do I approach doing that? Trying to give them resources and tools to succeed. It's been just an awesome event so far. We have this week and next week to kind of finish off the program. And again, even though it's been a short time, it's been very sweet so far. And I've really enjoyed being a part of this.
Me too. This has been so much fun. Again, if this is only your first time seeing the LCS Game Changers, this is also my first time being on like a big broadcast like this. So not only are they giving the players, the managers, the coaches chances, they're also giving us casters. Like I'm having a fantastic time. I've learned a whole lot already in the third week that I'm doing this. This is so much fun.
That's what it's all about.
I'm gonna be in LA.
You're very soon. Also, for anyone potentially out there watching the Disguised Toast event, I would remind you that most of you have 2 screens. So please remember to put them all on. Make sure you have maximum streams available. I don't want to hear anyone give me excuses that we couldn't watch because Toast was doing some gaming. You can pay attention to multiple things, I know.
Name a League player that doesn't listen to music while playing League. That alone is paying attention to 2 things. Like, personally, I can't play solo queue if 1, I don't have music, and 2, I don't have music that I can't sing to. Singing and playing solo queue is like how at least my brain functions. I don't know if that's how you play solo queue. But
I'm kind of the opposite. I actually can't play solo queue with music on, but I have to have game music and sounds at like very particular levels. Because I think I just can't play if the champion sounds or the game sounds aren't at like a very specific medium. Like I like the game music enough that I'll keep it in the game. I won't turn it off. A lot of pro players especially will just turn it off. In fact, you'd be surprised the number of things players just don't have or turn off because they're distracting or whatever. But game sounds is one that I need to be at like a very crisp level. So music actually gets in the way too much. I would love to be able to play with music, but it gets in the way too much of me hearing what's happening in the game. And I rely a lot on my ears to inform me about what's happening in a game of League, both casting and playing. So I can't do it. I'm actually curious how many players listen to music. I know a lot of them tend to, especially when playing solo queue. I know Ryle for a fact does because she tweeted about it lately because she can't stop tweeting. But I have potentially
I stole her playlist. She gave it to me.
Nice. I have potentially bad news for the players, actually. I don't believe players are allowed to listen to music on the LCS stage. I don't remember if that's definitely
no.
a thing. But in a lot
Morale's
of tournaments,
nerfed.
you're not allowed to listen to music. So I'm very curious if that's true. Actually, I'll find out. I don't know if that's still a thing that's in place, but I know for a while in tournaments that wasn't a thing you were allowed to do. So we might have. You already have to adapt to the arena and the stage, and a big difference in environment. You may have to adapt in an extra way you weren't expecting if you're a player that listens to music. And I know a ton of players listen to music when playing solo queue.
I mean, Riley alone, right? Like her
That's a
music
nerf.
genre. I think her music genre definitely defines how crazy of a player she is. If she can't listen to her music, how is she gonna be a crazy Yasuo AD carry? I don't know. I don't know what she's planning on pulling out today, but hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully it is Yasuo. Hopefully it isn't Yasuo. I don't know which one I actually want to see today.
She was tweeting about Yone, so that is
Okay.
that is my wish.
Spoiler alert! It's going to be Yone AD carry here today for Riley.
That's the hope. I mean, she said it was better than Yasuo, and she was willing to play Yasuo on stage. So
Oh,
can't
boy.
imagine when they can't imagine.
We're gonna have a
get away
Yone
from it.
Yasuo AD carry support duo today. That's gonna be our spiciness level. I think Yone has a knockup, right? I'm not crazy, so like
Yes, he does.
okay, yeah. It's been
He
a
has,
while since I've seen a Yone.
Has like the ulti is like a displacement, but it's not a knockup. I don't think. But
Okay.
Yasuo, his Q, like Yasuo's Q, does have a knockup on it. It's just a different windy / animation. It's actually, as someone that plays both but plays primarily Yasuo, it's actually very frustrating to switch between the two. So I'm impressed by any player that can, because they feel so similar. Obviously, they're very deeply connected in lore, and like their designs and like kind of theme are very similar. All right, because they're related in game, but they play so differently. Even despite all the similarities, so swapping between them I find miserable, because I go to do something and I'm like, on this champion that does that. That's bad. Here.
Oh no!
the most common one being Yone queuing into my enemies, because for Yasuo it's like your best range poke and wave clear tool, and for Yone it's the go button, and those are not good things to mess up.
Whatever you do, don't mess up the go button. Yes, that's the strategy. I don't know. Saying strategy. What's the word for like a thing that you say a lot and it relates to strategy for today? It's not saying strategy because that sounds bad. Mantra.
Yes.
Strategy mantra. Ooh,
I like that. That's advanced. That feels like we're getting into a. That feels like a branding pillar, perhaps. The team's listening might be moving that one in.
Let's get the what did I say? Strategy mantra presentation up for next week. Yep, thank you.
Oh, nice. Oh, you're gonna have a PowerPoint in LA. It's gonna be great.
I am such a fan of making PowerPoints, and
Yeah?
I am such a fan of not actually using PowerPoints. I can make them real pretty, but I cannot public speak with a PowerPoint. It's just,
okay.
No, can't do
Okay,
it.
so then I have a bit for you and Jolly to do them potentially. You could make
no.
her a PowerPoint for
Okay.
for LCS Game Changers Finals, and then you can get her to present your PowerPoint.
Ooh, okay.
It could be a fun little segment for you all to do.
I've had a couple of requests to show off my duck collection, so maybe I will make her present my duck collection for me. As I do here, we are actually ready for draft here. Once again, Serenity versus Astrocats. Serenity currently 1-0 up, a little bit of an upset, I'm going to go ahead and say.
Yeah, that is.
For the first series of the day. Astrocats selecting blue side game 1 and then red side game 2. So let's see what they have in store to change for us here.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to disagree with the notion that snapping the 4-game winning streak as the last place team in the tournament is anything other than an upset. Very nicely done for Serenity. We'll see if the Astrocats can bounce back, or will they continue to be brought back down closer to earth. It is LeBlanc banned away once again. Fairy Girl not going to get access to that champion.
I think it was Fairy Girl, right? I'm not going crazy. That had like a super good showing on LeBlanc. I'm gonna check my.
And
Where was
Yone,
LeBlanc?
which
Okay,
was also banned.
LeBlanc did Fairy Girl went 12-3 and 13 on LeBlanc last week, also against Serenity. So I think that's one of those things where like you have that one really bad game against a Katarina, and now you just permaban Katarina for your next like 10 games. That performance on LeBlanc kind of screams the same thing of like, we just do not want to deal with this type of champion again.
That's me banning Draven every game. I'm like, never again. I don't.
Master Yi
I
was
can't
that bad
risk
for
it.
me.
Oh, in Wild Rift, it's Master Yi always. That champion's an absolute terror.
Oh my gosh, I don't like that champion. Luckily, I slowly managed to get out of low elo enough that Master Yi was picked less. But higher elo Master Yis are sometimes scarier.
Oh, absolutely. I don't want to contest with Master Yi at any level. So
Yo,
get him
where's
out
the
of
rail
there.
ban?
Ooh, it's true. It's on the
rail
table.
ban yet?
It's on the table.
Excuse me, there's something in my throat there.
Oh, okay. Sound like rail. Weird. Swain gonna be banned away from Fairy Girl once again. Curious to see if we do continue to throw mid bans here, because so far, apart from the side switch, not a big change in strategy.
Oh,
Okay. They're baiting
heard
us.
me.
I mean,
I'm
that does mean that Azir has become a permaban for Miss Timo, at least as far as Astrocats are concerned. That is, I think, been the case since the opening Azir games that she played. I can also just agree with that generally, with her performance on the champion. So it is nice to see players getting respect on champions they've shown proficiency on. That does mean that we might not get that many differences here, and I think Serenity looks so comfortable on that last draft. I would be a little worried about giving it all away. Shapeshift respecting the power of Xin and basically forcing Astrocats to ban Jarvan here. We know Shapeshift from interviews we've heard from her herself isn't that comfortable on these champions, but they're pretty good, and obviously Shapeshift has gotten a lot better on these kind of champions, so I would want to ban Draven here if I'm Astrocats. Sorry, not Draven, Jarvan. I want to ban Draven personally. Astrocats should want to ban Jarvan for this game, so if that happens, I wonder what that leaves open here. We'll see what Astrocats want to pick for this final ban.
J4 was actually left unbanned, so this is a very, very easy, I would think, B1 Jarvan here.
Yep.
Or I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Shapeshift is going to play Nidalee. I don't think she might play Nidalee in this game, but I would love to see her play Nidalee, if not this game, then later today, just because that was the champion that she even said it in the interview, right? Like, that was the champion that broke her way into Master or whatever elo she said it was. Master Plus, something like that, right? Like, I would love to see her play Nidalee at some point. Maybe not against Astrocats here today, but maybe next week or later today against Arcana. But J4 will end up being that B1, so it is kind of that trade-off of Astrocats probably knew. We either ban Jarvan and they take Kai'Sa, or we ban Kai'Sa and they gave away Jarvan. And then most likely I would think a Xayah Rakan is realistic here for R1, R2.
Yep, I think based on what we just saw, I think the lesser of two evils in that situation is definitely Jarvan. There is going to be Fika going back to Kha'Zix. Interesting. I think this is a matchup. This is a matchup I think we've already seen, and I think Fika was the player piloting the Kha'Zix.
Yep, it is the exact same players on the exact same champions. Previously, it was a win for the Astrocats last week in their 4-0 sweep of both teams last week, but same champions, different day, potentially. I'm not going to say different teams, but very different play styles that we have seen from Serenity between week 1 and week 2. And then once again, that Braum will be picked up by Billyworth. Honestly, I'm still surprised that Braum has been left unbanned. Billyworth, I'm going to keep talking about how good Billyworth is on Braum. Like, I'm pretty much convinced at this point, if Braum was left unbanned, Billyworth might just pick it every single game. Like, that's how good of a champion this is.
Yeah, kind of you were alluding to this already. I do hope we get a little looseness as the games kind of go on today, because, you know, we'll start to solidify the standings. Teams will kind of be in positions where, you know what, this game not going to maybe affect our score so much. And maybe some more comfort picks, some more signature picks for these players would be nice to see. I'm also obviously thinking about Sona for Billyworth as that champion.
That would be a lot of fun.
Like Shapeshift and Elite would be really cool to see. For now, though, teams obviously locked in and are wanting to get as much good practice as they can. And I mean, in this situation, as far as we know, Astrocats could lose every game today, and then we could actually have some wild tiebreaks. So who knows? As Orianna and Rakan are going to be the picks for Serenity here, going back to what worked in the last game.
Absolutely. I mean, it would be really interesting if Astrocats lost every single game today. But even then,
I think it's gonna happen, but you never know.
I don't think it's gonna happen. They could win this. They could go on a 3-game win streak from here, right? And then it's like, oh, that happened again. Okay. That happened again. Miss Timo is back on the Orianna. Miss Timo, I want to say like the silent hero of last game, but honestly, she wasn't very silent, but she was a very, very strong hero for last game. Even the shockwave from the very first team fight around that first dragon, right, was a major factor in Serenity winning. And like every single team fight, the shockwave from Miss Timo was so team fight turning, like you have to pick this champion again, right? Like, Miss Timo had a really clean game on it.
Yep, I think she's demonstrating that, like, she's very comfortable on certain picks, whether that's a personal thing or just a team thing. I'm not sure, and I'm not going to speculate, but it's working, so I don't blame them for taking what's offered to them. They're going to ban a bunch of Fairy Girls picks because she's a very competent player, especially in lane. We've seen that a ton throughout this tournament, and that was one of the expectations coming in, as she is one of the highest rated players at this event. I do like where we're at, though, here for Astrocats. I do like the pivot onto Ornn, not because Murami and his carries aren't good. They're very obviously good, as we saw in the last game on Aatrox, but I think the one thing we were missing for Astrocats was a way to really put the nail in the coffin on the team fights, and Murami has shown she can win lane and manage waves on any champion, so you might as well pick Ornn.
Speaking of team fights, now that I'm re-looking at the starting team comp here, they have a really solid ball delivery system where you can put it on either Rakan or J4 so far, and you have the wombo combo of the Cataclysm plus Shockwave plus Rakan ult. I mean, quickness isn't really a part of any wombo combo, but it's really easy to use to set up different wombo combos. I think that was actually part of the Faker, what was it? The Faker Shockwave outplay call, right? Like, it was actually a Rakan that set up the Shockwave. I don't know how I remember that. I remember such random things.
Same, honestly. My brain.
What was it, Wolf? Am I crazy? Was that Wolf on the Rakan?
Of course.
I'm smurfing it today. I don't know.
Let's go. It was indeed. Ashe can get banned away from Avril. Looks like Xayah also going to be taken off the board. Jax and Camille, the two carries banned away, protecting this top lane matchup as best they can. I was going to float the question of does Shysept play Fiora? That was one of the Ornn counters I was thinking of. Camille made sense, and I think Jax and Jack, both of them, I think, are a bit more generally strong as top laners, and they are carries that Shysept does like to play, so I like banning them away here for Muramina's matchup, which leaves us with a pick here for the Astrocats. AD carry kind of makes sense, given that the enemy hasn't picked one yet, and hey, look at that, Zeri's open, so we'll take Zeri.
Zeri's open, Kai'Sa and Xayah and Ashe are all taken away, though, so we may be seeing some screams of Felios to me, actually. I think if we're looking for a full team fight, run at them, wombo combo type of AD carries, I think of Felios. Maybe even Varus. Varus could be a good team fight AD carry, depending on how well you are able to use the Corrupted Chains ultimate. Nope.
Oh, okay. That's not the carry I expected.
Nope. Still a carry.
Still a carry. Definitely a good run forward carry. And okay at running backwards, but this team doesn't really want to be running backwards in team fights.
You do get the little bit of what is it called? Funny interaction, right? Where you can Vayne E someone into the Cataclysm, and that counts as a spell to stun them
that's
on.
A banger.
So I think they might have picked Vayne possibly specifically for that. It definitely screams like we're playing for a wombo combo type of draft here.
What?
But we're gonna drop a Nasus V5 and just blow everything else out of the water. No. We have a Susan in the top lane for Shysept.
Okay.
Someone let her cook.
Yeah, I mean, it was Singed last week. So I guess Nasus this week. I mean, this, as far as picks you can take into tank matchups, Nasus does make a lot of sense. That does mean that we have a little less team fight on the Serenity side and a little bit more 4-1. So curious to see how that floats out, as last pick is Cassio for Fairy Girl. We've seen this matchup a ton as well. Fairy Girl feels very confident in the Cassio vs Orianna matchup, even though Orianna typically gets a little bit of an edge naturally from how the matchup plays out. Fairy Girl doesn't seem to mind and is definitely picking Cassio more for the team fight and the mid to late here. So Astrocats basically realizing what happened last game and being like, we kind of got out team fought, let's pick more team fight. Serenity are like, what about this?
What about this?
What about Nasus?
What about a Nasus? I don't know. We're about to find out. What about the Nasus? It is funny that you remember that actually it was Fairy Girl playing the Cassiopeia against Ayukura, Kana's mid lane Orianna, just week 1. That was a win for the Astrocats. Same exact matchup here, but a different player on the Orianna. Both Miss Timo and Ayukura have come out of this tournament so far really, really strong on the Orianna. I'm excited to see the Serenity versus Arcana game later today. I think Orianna is literally going to be picked every single game. Possibly today, but in that series especially.
Oh yeah, we'll see a lot of contesting for that champion, as this will be a fun one. I did say like I expected some changes, and Astrocats didn't change too much, but the changes they make a lot of sense, especially given how they lost the last game. Definitely a little more picante in the kitchen here for Serenity, but love to see it there. For a Shysept, and I can tell you one person that's going to be ecstatic that this is happening. It is going to be the person on the other side of this game. Ashley Kang is back for more interviews. She is a big Nasus enjoyer. So
Ooh, I'm excited.
Maybe we'll get I'm sure she wants to cover as many players as possible, and she's already talked to Shysep, but I can't imagine the urge to interview Shysep after this game isn't extremely strong for Ashley K.
I mean, yeah, go for it. Let's get like a 1 minute, one question to Shysep. Hey, how'd you pick Nasus? How did this game go on the Nasus? Right? But we've talked about Shysep. We've talked about top lane. I want to look at the bot lane. Let's look at some of these summoner spells once again. This is how we started last game. We'll start the same way this game. This time, it's Ghost and Ghost, and an Ignite and Ignite. I can't say the last time I've seen both AD carries in a lane take Ghost, but I can't think of two better AD carries in a lane to take Ghost than really a Vayne and a Zeri.
Yep. Makes sense with how the carries operate, especially when there's like a non-zero amount of dive on both sides here. Both ADs will have to contend with a number of champions jumping at them, so having extra extended long mobility makes sense. I am not well versed in bot lane matchups enough to tell you if Vayne is supposed to be good in Zeri. The only Vayne matchup I kind of know is Ezreal, which is an old school counterpick in a lot of ways, and Zeri is obviously a very new school champion. So we'll see, but I'm excited that Yumichi is dipping deeper into the well here for carries.
I think stylistically how Vayne is supposed to work is she's supposed to super struggle against early game bullies, so like, you know, the Drave and the Lucians of the bot lane. But then she's actually supposed to outscale most, if not all, late game AD carries, but her mid game is just also very difficult, especially against those later AD carries. So I think mid game it's supposed to be a little bit more Avril favored, but then late game it might be a little bit more Yumichi favored. But it's been a minute since I've also seen this matchup, so that's just going off of memory.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Yumichi navigates teamfights especially. She did a great job in the last game, navigating on the Kai'Sa. Has a little less personal agency on a champion like Vayne, although it does have some. In some ways, Vayne is the original Kai'Sa, especially the release move speed of her passive Night Hunter. Still makes me angry to this day. That's why I've never forgotten it. But this is the kind of carry where you have to play very well against this team.
Yeah.
I mean, you have Braum, Ornn, and Cassio all interfering with your ability to do the things that Vayne wants to do. And not to mention, Kazi's going to be diving on you every team fight they get.
Cassiopeia was a really strong R5 counterpick here for Astrocats. We didn't get a whole lot of chances to talk about it during draft because it was R5, but the fact that it counters basically 4 members, everyone except for Miss Teemo, it's supposed to only counter melees, but I'm counting Yumichi in that just because Vayne is such a low range AD carry, plus she has a dash that is also stopped by the Cassiopeia. Whatever it is, W. So I think Cassiopeia is going to be a very game-changing ultimate in these team fights later in the game.
Yep. Especially combined with Ornn ulti. There's a lot of good setup here. We did see a bunch of different good Cassio setups there using that miasma. And even Rakan going to get stopped here. They changed the minimum range requirement for Cassio W a long time ago now. So surprisingly safe in that spot for Fairy Girl, who just has some backup and walks away from the mid roam out of the bottom lane. And now Piku's here as well, just to make sure there's no one else. But we know Shapeshift is currently clearing the top left crab.
Not a whole lot of action in the mid lane. We've definitely seen more action from any other team except for Serenity. I'm trying to make a point that Serenity has the most early game action out of all 3 of these teams. I just said it really badly. Early games are always more exciting when Serenity is here to stay. Shapeshift and Aloysia soaking a little bit of XP from these mid laners, so if there is a level 6 battle later, and the enemy mid laner or top laner has a level 6 advantage, that would be
maybe
why
very
Marlena has really low mana, but so does Shapeshift. Vico as well, showing herself up here in the top lane. This wave is just so detrimental for Marina. This is not where she wants it whatsoever. Shapeshift and Shysept as well. Forced to crash that wave. Shysept, my goodness, has TP to get back on the top lane there as well. Avril taking about 50% HP. Knock up, not gonna land. Avril, really nice flash away to the run as well.
It's
trying to run away, but the Ignite is taken down, and that's first blood picked up for Yumichi. Ghost popped as well. She is not letting go. Flash forward, double kill for Yumichi. So well played by the Serenity bot lane.
They're popping off. Yumichi's having a day. Incredible game 1, and now the Vayne is 2 kills at 5 minutes. Are you kidding me, man? I was ready to talk about how much silliness, but required silliness there was in the top lane with that wave being kind of managed by in a 2v2, but we'll just talk about this instead. Vayne passive kicks in and just starts shooting him. Heloisa playing on the edge with that Rakan there. And that last auto not getting a stun might have saved Yumichi from getting traded away there. I'm not even sure it was enough, but very well played in the 2v2. I think in a lot of ways, Serenity have been the quietest team, but a team that has been improving slowly but surely over the course of this event. And Yumichi and Heloisa may be the biggest benefits of more time together in the 2v2 because they look on fire so far this event.
As we do actually move to a game of pause, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about more of these 80 carries. That alone, you saw at the last second there, the item difference that both of those 80 carries walked away with. Both of them have the Berserker Graves, but Vayne is walking away with the recurve bow, I think is what it's called. But the one extra like full item or full half item ahead now of the Zeri, that is not what you want when you're versing a Vayne in the early game.
No, and it was a really nicely placed silver bolt that actually started it into that little wall that's right next to the tower. I don't know what people call that wall, but that wall, that's the wall that like Poppy always kills you at.
Is that the banana wall or is that the other wall? One of them is called banana wall.
That's amazing. I've never heard that, and I'm surprised, but that is incredible. Whatever it was, just kind of saw the angle. Even with the wave being pushed in, wave was thinning out, neither had time, and anytime you have a long lane for Vayne to run you down in, if Vayne's strong enough, that's exactly what's going to happen. So we might even see it, honestly, in like the mid game, if given the lead Yumichi has.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird things that doesn't happen with too many ADs, but Vayne is one of the ADs you can park in a side lane in the mid game, and as long as you're keeping tabs on the enemy team well enough, Vayne will just like run people down like a top lane carry if the lane's any sort of extended and long and it's an uninterrupted 1v1. So Yumichi is going to be a problem once again in this game. It was a problem on the Kai'Sa. We saw her get a solo kill in the mid lane on Kai'Sa against Avril.
That was clean. Clean
2v2 kill here, and Yumichi's only powering up more as this game goes on. I would be very concerned if I was Astrocats in this early game, because if there's one thing I don't want, it's Vayne to have 2 kills in 5 minutes. That's just like a miserable time.
I'm going to be worried if I'm Arcana, honestly, too, for next game. Serenity is the one with the back-to-back from the first to the second matchup here.
Yep.
Yumichi is already just, like, on the high with these 80 carries. The super carry Kai'Sa into now an early game. I'm not going to spoil anything yet, but, I mean, so far, early game super carry Vayne, I mean, she's got to be feeling really, really good about herself in the bot lane right now. But, of course, you can't have a good 80 carry without also having good support. Heloisa. I read it and then it just immediately went out of my brain.
I think, again, even without the Rel, a player that has been looking good as we'll pop ourselves back in the game, and that very support is trying to get mid lane hit level 6, so with the flash, this is going to be a very tricky gank. There's the ulti. But Jarvan makes it way to the backside, and that is going to force the flash as Rakan zooms on in. Berigo, though, does get away, but has to burn everything to stay safe, and already used TP, by the way, so going to be out of resources here in mid lane for a bit.
For sure, flash for flash traded between Shapeshift and Fairy Girl there. Heloisa also dropping about 50% of her HP, but only the one ultimate available. Heloisa very close. You cannot be walking around blind in these rivers here, my friend. Fiku, luckily enough for Heloisa, does not have level 6 yet, but Shapeshift might not be so lucky. EQ not quite in time to get over the wall, and that's actually going to be Billy Worth picking up that kill.
Concussive blows damage, just getting enough done there. Billy Worth claiming the kill, and that's going to be the dragon as well. That is the insult that will be added to injury. I thought they were actually going to both be okay. Nice interplay there between the two movement abilities of the jungler and support to try and get out of there, but at the last moment, Shapeshift does die, and that opens up this pretty early dragon to kick things off here for the Astrocats. This is the same thing that happened in the last game in the sense that they got the first dragon, just not in the same way here. This time, much less contest for the objective. Who claims that one?
Yeah, I think the first dragon last game we had a full 4v4 or something, right? Like, this time it's just the one pick into. All right, I guess we'll take the first dragon now if we have to. First dragon up for the Astrocats, but about 1k gold lead for Serenity in the early stages of this game. I would assume most of that is sitting in the pockets of Yumichi with that extra first blood, almost 1,000 gold
could have a solo kill here
on her own over Avril. Very impressive.
I'm serious. 5 seconds, no flash, shockwave here. Massimo's got all the angles.
But no wave.
Doesn't pull the shockwave. Yeah, Wave is in the right spot here. I mean, we could flash shockwave and W and get the kill, but that's a little eager, and jungler and support are roaming in.
Got some friends in the mid lane here to help Fairy Girl out. Miss Timo is definitely on a timer of some sort to crash that wave or to keep herself alive. Avril under the tower on the bot lane down here doesn't have a support to keep her safe.
Man.
Just the tower, and the tower is not enough. Nothing Avril can really do about that one whatsoever. We got a team fight from the top lane.
Oh! Dodges the Q. Billywith tries to get in there. It's a 1v3. Triceps popping the ghost and running around, but unfortunately that's it. Just poking the enemy Kha'Zix. As we're still working in mid lane here, but the Rift Herald is going to go over to Astrocats as Fiku should be able to claim it. Fairy Girl sticking around, just kind of forced into a terrible spot here. Wanting to collect as many minions as possible. Down in CS here in the 1v1, but it looks like Miss Timo's finally going to make her base. No, never mind. We're back on. I'm way too invested in this potential solo kill. I'm so sorry. Okay, we're good.
All right, I'm going to distract you and quiz you on the knowledge of the Nasus top lane real quick.
Oh, boy.
Thoughts on Shysept taking Fleet Footwork instead of Unleash Spellbook, whatever it's called?
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna assume that Fleet is more for lane than anything else, and Shysept is a lane-oriented player. So that kind of lines up for me. It also does play well with Nasus's general play patterns. It's not as much movement speed as say something like Phase Rush could potentially give you. Although I don't know if that's even a thing you can do in Nasus. I'm just talking about what the runes do. But with how Nasus wants to eventually be playing side lanes where you're just constantly queuing people over and over again, it does line up with the little bit of move speed, and I think is probably better at getting you through lanes. I know Ornn is a tank, but Ornn's actually pretty good in lane, especially if Ornn can combo abilities correctly. And Shysept has, despite being a solid 1v1 player, has struggled at least against Muramina in particular. And I think that's a testament to Muramina's individual prowess as a top laner than Shysept's inability in matchups or as a player herself. They're both very good. Muramina has just consistently been great in lanes, opening up leads for herself. So I think there's a bit of insurance here in some ways for Shysept.
I also think this is the first game that we've actually had a real tank counter. We've had Vayne one other game, but even then it was really picked as a tank counter. Lucia might be picked up down here in the bot lane. Ignite take it down. Fiku or Avril even just left alone on the Zeri. Not what you want to do if you're the enemy team. Really nice pick by Fiku and Avril.
Yeah, Shapeshift not in time to potentially pick somebody off there for the counter kick. Would have been a beautiful angle if Shapeshift had been there a couple seconds earlier. Instead, it is a very creative little kill there for Fiku, popping Void Assault, walking into the bush, and then blowing up the Rakan with the rest of the squad before Heloisa could get away. So nicely done to right the ship a little bit here. It's 1,000 gold up for Serenity, but only 1,000. And again, that gold will be concentrated onto Yumichi, who does have the Kraken Slayer now finished with 300 bonus gold if they can snag the bounty. Definitely worthwhile to reinvest resources to trying to contain this Vayne. So watch for Fiku once again. I'm sure she'll be back down here to watch how this happened. Sometimes you just get hit by the Bromq, and Fiku's in the bush.
Yeah, I actually exactly agree with you, right? Astrocats recognizing that the bot lane of Serenity, at least this game is going to be the major problem point. Yeah, I mean, what do you do there, right? She blew the flash, she blew the W and the E at exactly the right times. It is just too much damage to really truly deal with. But Yumichi, like you said, is still sitting there with now a 350 bounty on her head. Cannot be ignoring the spot lane for too long.
Avril trying to fight back here. Billywith here does get the tag. Again, Vayne's not invincible, especially if she's stunned. There is a possibility to win 2v2 here, but it's going to be tricky, especially if Rakan is positioned to try and assist. And it looks like they're actually trying to return in kind here, actually playing for the Infernal Drake right now. I don't want to face check if I'm Astrocats, but I might be forced to because I don't want to give this away, but Fiku on the other side of the rift, as we can see, and Astrocats are going to pick the safer choice here and not contest. Would be a certain death and likely no steal. They're just going to have to give this objective over.
Fiku, meanwhile, up here on the top side, as you can see, will give up that dragon, but clear the entirety of the top side camps from Shapeshift. Shapeshift doesn't have any camps on the bot side, so cannot actually do any real vertical jungling quite yet. Oh no. I'm going to assume that was actually timed out. Rift Herald, Fairy Girl, really nice flash. Timed exactly perfectly to get out of the Cataclysm in time, but Fiku might not be so lucky. Little Bug only has a ghost, doesn't actually have a flash.
Yeah, caught in a weird spot, transitioning from one half of the map to the other. Not often you're walking from the enemy blue side jungle back to your red side, but that's what happened, and unfortunately that was parked right where the enemies were waiting for you, chasing your mid laner, as they do get Fairy Girl's flash once again. And Miss Teemo, no shockwave, so there is no, this time I will not celebrate the potential solo kill angle. It is not, it's not there, it's not there, it's not there. Everyone can relax.
Okay.
It's not a thing.
You know what is there? It's a Kraken Slayer for Yumichi at 13 minutes.
Yeah. Remember the part in the pause where we said Yumichi was going to be a problem? We were right.
She's a little bit of a problem here in game number 2 of today. Doesn't have that many plates. Actually, 3 plates. It's quite a lot of plates for Vayne in the early game, and not a whole lot that Astrocats have been able to do to shut down this Vayne quite yet. Also maintaining, what is that, 20 CS lead, 10 CS a minute on the Vayne. That's also not easy to do. This is not a wave clear champion.
No, Yumichi doing a great job here overall, and has been stellar so far. To kick off the day, we'll check in quickly with our favorite Nasus player. It is Shysept, level 10.
Let's go.
Cruising a little bit behind in CS, but collecting farm and stacking up the siphoning strike. 225 stacks, as you can see there, with Nasus currently highlighted in the bottom left of your screen. Fiku fancies a scrap, but quickly thinks the better of it. Although there are some reinforcements, Shysept is keeping the wave back here. This is one of the things Nasus can do. But going to be broken here as the dive is going to be incoming. No, never mind. Fiku backing off. Just going to have the lane swap there and have Avril get out of the firing line as Yumichi and Heloisa seeming a little too strong at this point.
Ghost popped by Muramina. She is holding on to the flash there as well, but it is only the Rakan chasing her down here for now. I would imagine Muramina really hates this part of the lane swap, right? Where she is directly countered by the bot lane of Serenity, so she's just kind of here to clear the waves. I don't think there's a whole lot that Muramina can actually do to keep Yumichi and Alosia off of taking these turrets. As you can see, Yumichi and Alosia have claimed the entirety of the outer turret.
We're diving?
It was the second turret.
We're diving!
Underneath the turret. Muramina will force the flash. Doesn't have the ghost anymore, so burning 2 summoner spells from Muramina in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, nicely done. I was very excited there because the interaction you pointed out almost came to fruition there. Cataclysm plus Condemn was almost combined, but instead it's going to be Fiku invisible in mid here, but Miss Teemo senses something, going to have to back away, and the isolated damage is heavy, but flash not even necessary. Miss Teemo just calmly walks away from that situation.
Miss Teemo, you saw as well with the Eonder herself, I think is how you can get the shockwave onto yourself, and that alone, like, as a Kha'Zix, right, without flash, you don't want to be shockwaved underneath the enemy Orianna's turret, so holding onto the shockwave and the flash was actually super, super clean there from Miss Teemo. Both the outer lanes, or both the side lanes have had the outer turrets taken first of all here, but the mid lane is still largely even. You see the CS lead slightly in the favor of Miss Teemo, but that's just because she's had the wave prio in her favor for the majority of the early game here. Yeah,
kind of doing what you're supposed to do in the Ahri matchup, and has been actually navigating it quite nicely as Billyworth going for the predict, but Heloisa gives the classic no juke and just keeps walking in the straight line, which is always nice to see. Slightly unfortunate TP timing from Miss Teemo as we have a fight here in mid. It is Shapeshift going to be diving on in after the Rakan engage. Cataclysm pop, but the flash out is there, and Heloisa a little bit low as Avril's trying to go off, but Yumichi just bringing down the pain. The Silver Bolt's proccing as that is a nice ulti there, but the Shockwave follow, as you mentioned, is going to be better, and Ornn is going to die. The tankiest member felled by Yumichi's Vayne, and Fairy Girl not there in time to try and get a counter kill. That's 1 for nothing.
1 for nothing, but most likely the turret for Serenity here as well. Everybody on Astrocats is sitting so low on their HP. In addition to this turret and that 1 kill, could also even be this next dragon. Everybody just blew all of their important summoner spells. You see, every single ult is on cooldown, except for Fairy Girls. That Cassiopeia ult might just turn the team fight if Astrocats decide to take another one here for the dragon.
Yeah, they'll have time as well. No TP on Muramina, so timing on the fight is going to be a little bit awkward. But the Dragon is up now, and Serenity are staying to take it. Shysept also doesn't have TP, but watch how this played again. Looks like Heloisa maybe found the angle here. It was Billyworth that took the cutoff, does get the W knock up there, runs through them with the quickness. Cataclysm's going to force a couple flashes, and Vayne just frontlining team fights here. Heloisa dashes out of the way, and just the closest target is the one you attack. That's basically the Vayne way. Even though it's an Ornn, more than enough power here with the Kraken Slayer and the Silver Bolts to punch through. And then Fairy Girl a little late to the party, can't quite lock down the Vayne. And if you can't CC the Vayne, that's exactly what's going to happen every single team fight. Yumichi's going to kill everyone.
For sure. Yumichi, I don't think was CC most likely a single time during that team fight, and she was just free hitting the entire time. Meanwhile, back here in live, we did have the dragon taken by Serenity, but the outer turn in mid was taken by Astrocats. Fairy Girl might not get to live for very long down here in the bot lane. She was fishing for a 1v1 against Yumichi, but it is not a 1v1. Fairy Girl, again, you gotta watch the castle. It's gonna turn it in her favor. 1 for 1 and a 1 for 3. Fairy Girl's walking away saying that's worth.
Yeah, I was gonna say that flash was a bit wasted, but Fairy Girl actually converts it into a 1-for-1 trade, so I think we'll take it if we're on the side of Astrocats. Need a bit of gold there in the mid lane, and Fairy Girl's still scaling. I'm gonna say worth on that one, even though looked a little sussy at the start of the play. 5-0, unfortunately, for Yumichi. Still worth bonus gold. 600 now the bounty on the Vayne's head, and Yumichi is scaling up, and that is, again, if you get a concentrate gold in one place, God, it's really, you don't want it to be the Vayne.
You now have a Trinity Force completed on the Vayne here as well. You mentioned a 600 gold bounty. That's probably going to grow to about 650 here with 1 or 2 more kills. This is almost the level of, like, I know Vayne isn't an AP champion, but this is the level of, like, we could almost buy a Magi's on this type of gameplay, right? Like, maybe you're not going to get a whole lot of use out of it, but I always think it's fun.
Yeah,
my AD carry builds a Magis. I might flame them, but at the same time, I'll be very proud of them.
Look, if Sword of the Divine was still in the game... Sorry, not Sword of the Divine. What was the stacking sword called? Oh, no. Anyway, there used to be an 80 item that stacked. If that was still in the game, Yumichi would have bought it this game, guaranteed. It is certainly that kind of game. Unfortunately, we are only left with Magi's. There used to be 2 other stacking items. Rest in peace. I'm going to spend the rest of the game figuring out what it is. Chat's probably already spamming it. Thank you, chat. I can't see you right now, but I appreciate your help.
You ruined my transition. I was going to say, speaking of rest in peace, the Sparran is about to be rest in peace, but no.
It's still good? It still works?
I can't. Okay.
Just go, keep going. Don't let me stop you, goodness.
Yeah, Pastry, what the heck?
Well, the Baron is not Ripperoonie just yet, but I think it's certainly on the table. Vayne does a ton of objective damage. You can even do the fun thing where you stand in the little corner and hit Q a bunch for like a slight efficiency gain on your animations. One of those things that AD carry players like to do with their Vayne. Oh!
Wow!
That is one of the silliest interactions I have ever seen in this game. Okay, production. Whenever we're done with this Baron, I need to see a replay, because that Condemn stunned Avril in the stupidest plays I think I've ever seen, and I want to see it again. Unfortunately, that kill means this Baron is dead, and Serenity are going to continue getting ahead in this game. It's 2,000 gold ahead. It's going to be much more than that after this, and the damage they can do to open up this game and potentially sweep the Astrocats is now on the table, because Vayne and Zeri apparently works that way.
Yeah, nope, I'm going to need to see this one again
this
here, too.
Is so dumb.
Avril probably buffered E on the wall, right? That has to be what... Yeah, she buffered E on the wall, but then the Vayne E also stunned her, but it stunned her on the wrong side of the wall. And I mean, luckily enough for Serenity, right? Like, this team was standing around with the shockwave like, oh yeah, let's kill those AD carry and get a Baron. Yep, exactly right. All of a sudden, I said it was going to be 650 with 4 more bounty. There it is, 650 with 1 more kill. This would also be, by the way, the first time Astrocats fall 0-2 at all to either team if they do fall this game.
I'm still thinking about that. That is the funniest, like, that is the weirdest sequence of game logic I've seen in such a long time. I think what happens is that because you're not far enough through the wall that the Condemned still thinks you're on the other side and stuns you, but you're still moving, or maybe you have to complete the animation because of how Zeri works, so you end up on the other side. I think if you were further through, you end up getting Condemned on the other side and you actually push further back, but you get stunned and then still make it through the wall, which seems like maybe it's going to be okay, but Miss Teamer, just like in this instance, does find the shockwave on the other side and finds Fairy in this play as well. Eloisa trying to run around all the way. It is the longest flank we've seen in a minute. Very deep behind the enemy team, but the tower is dead, and Yumichi is free-firing there. Miss Teamer is going to pick up kill number 1. Shysept is tanking in the front lines here, and the damage is decent on the other side, but Yumichi is far too powerful. Call it 4, and there is the ace. It's Serenity looking to sweep this game.
This is is 22 minutes, and they are knocking on the Nexus doors of the Astrocats. Previously, the fastest game we have had was a 24-minute, I think 30-second win. But no. Serenity have shown up today. They said we are breaking the fastest win time, and we are breaking that against the top team of the Astrocats. Serenity claimed the 2-0 today.
Send a message to the swamp, because it's Ogre, Camcom. Serenity cleaning up. Sweeping the Astrocats out of it here to kick off our first series.
Wow.
What a turnaround from week to week. The 4-game win streak is now a 2-game slide for the Astrocats as Serenity rally. Clearly learnt a lot about themselves week to week and throughout the course of the event, looking very clean in these games. Again, as a reminder, coming into today, this was our last place team of the 3. Obviously, I kind of haven't played any games yet, but if we want to fudge the standings a little bit, that is not the case right now.
That is true. Technically, in the standings, it would now be Astrocats, then Serenity, then Arcana. But we're about to see the tiebreaker. That would be the tiebreaker previously for second and third. But at this point, it could almost be, depending on who it is, Arcana versus Astrocats later in the day as well. That could almost be the tiebreaker of who gets to claim Astrocats' previous title of first place. What is happening today?
Yeah, I didn't think it was possible coming into the day, but if they keep losing, it's going to be on the table as Serenity looking very nice. I mean, I love the Nasus there from Shysept. It kind of showed some of what's happening. Like, honestly, being the fastest game of the tournament meant that we didn't actually get long enough to really see what the Nasus could do. Oh, yes. I'm so glad this is back. Just look at how silly this is. Tumble, auto, condemn. I'm tumbling. I get stunned. I get stunned on the
That right there.
close side of the wall. I still make it through, and then again, Miss Timo is there with the shockwave. Also, by the way, Night Hunter passive movement speed means that Vayne is actually around the corner by the time Zeri even gets herself back over the wall. And again, Zeri's still stunned. Just like a very silly
I
interaction.
have so many questions. I'm almost wondering now if that's like a spectator-only viewpoint that we're getting.
Oh,
because you saw
that's true. That could be that.
You saw Miss Timo had the shockwave, like the ball was already over the wall where Zeri was going, right? Like from our perspective, it looked like Zeri was still on their side of the wall, right? So the fact that Oriana already knew, maybe it was in the player's perspective, that was just Zeri going in that direction, and that's all that they saw. Maybe.
I don't know. That was a hoot.
It's very strange. What happened?
It's kind of like now I'm trying to think what other abilities have similar logic, and the obvious one is Bard Tunnel. But I think you just get knocked out of the tunnel when you get CC'd. And it's also really hard to get CC'd in Magical Journey, really hard. I mean, I thought it was hard for Zeri to get CC'd when she's tumbling through a wall, but apparently not.
Please, somebody play Bard. Somebody play Bard today.
Bard would be good. I'd be a big fan of Bard.
We've had everybody's favorite champion. We've had your Yasuo. We've had Ashley's Nasus. I don't know what Jolly's favorite champion is, but I want my Bard, please.
You hear it? There you go, supports. It's time for Bard. Get it going.
Please. Who's going to be the most likely to play Bard? Real quick.
Heloisa.
Okay, Heloisa. But we do actually have an interview. We have an interview with fantastic Miss Timo, once again, mid laner for Serenity with you. Ready right here with Ashley King.
Thank you so much for all the throw, and I am joined by Miss Timo, the mid laner of Serenity, as they have an amazing comeback and go 2-0 against Astrocats today. Miss Timo, congratulations on the 2-0. How are you feeling right now?
Good. Thank you for having me. It feels good to finally go 2-0 against Astrocats. I think it's our first win against them, so it feels good in week 3 to finally bring it back.
Yeah, because Astro looked so strong going into week 3, and you guys didn't have necessarily the best win to lose the record. What was the reason that Serenity stepped up so much coming into week 3?
I think it's just we were building up to it. We worked really well as a team, and it was just kind of ironing out those small wrinkles. And it kind of just shows today when we're able to perform to our fullest potential, we're unstoppable.
Okay, of course every team working on this tournament is working very, very hard, but the improvement that Serenity has shown coming into this week was so noticeable. So when you talk about, ironing some things out and working on like teamwork and etc. What were some of the breakthroughs that you noticed coming into this week? You know, it could have been like a specific conversation or like an event. Oh, we're performing so much better. It could be many things, you know.
I think one of the big things is that
Yeah.
like our communication, both like in fights, out of fights, just in general, being able to communicate when we're strong, when we're weak, like what the enemy is trying to do, predicting their movements as well. And I think today in our first two games, we were able to really predict what the enemy is doing, and then using that information, we played to our own strengths, and then yeah, the rest is 2-0.
I guess it just came down a lot to the in-game communication stuff and the players being able to communicate those informations more effectively. Maybe I'm just guessing.
Yeah, we already work really well as a team. Like our team environment is amazing. Everyone's super nice, very considerate of each other. You know, sometimes that's like not a great thing because we throw our own lead to help others. But we're finding that balance of like when you need to work for yourself, when you need to look for others. And I think we're really just coming together as a team.
And speaking of the performance going, Miss Tiva, you also had some amazing performances on Oriana today. Can you just tell me more about your confidence on that champion and, in your opinion, how your Oriana games went today?
I'm pretty happy with how my Oriana games went. She is the first champion that I mained as a mid laner. So I was a support main for a very long time until a few years ago, and then Oriana is how I got into mid lane. Now I'm an Azir main, which is why you see it banned every game, but Oriana is how I got into mid lane, so she is kind of like this, you know, old reliable kind of champion, and with her recent buffs, she's just really, really strong. So it's just a really nice combo of comfort and meta, and yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with my performance. I'm glad I was able to hit a couple of shockwaves, and yeah.
Wow, Oriana and Azir main. I'm getting some Faker vibes here.
I wish they call me the Walmart version of Faker, you know, like they play the same champions, but maybe not quite the same quality as Faker.
Like, what is it about Oriana and Azir that you make you so confident in those champions, as well as have some preference on those champions?
I think it's because both of the champions, they have pretty strong lane presence. Especially Azir, like he's very well known for being the lane kingdom champion, who then scales into late game. And same with Oriana, she has really, really good scaling. And on top of that, both Azir and Oriana, they both have very strong ultis. So you can really turn around the fight with just one R. And that's kind of what happened in our first game against Astrocats in the bot lane tier 2 fight. It looked kind of shaky, but then when we turned around with our ulti, with Oriana ult, it kind of really changed the fight there.
It looks like that Serenity is really improving in terms of its teamwork as well as communication. All the players, including you, are becoming more confident on the ability to perform on stage. What is the one thing that Serenity or you think you can work on before the upcoming very exciting Game Changers Finals weekend?
Yeah, I think we can kind of work on pushing our leads. We're very good at like scaling. So when we do find that early lead, I think you know, we can kind of work with it a lot better. And if we're able to push our early leads, then I think we can snowball games even faster. You know, we're pretty good at mitigating their snowball and then scaling into late game. So I think we just have to do the opposite, where if we become also good at getting early lead and snowballing it, then we have both styles down and it will be pretty unstoppable.
How would you rate the strengths of the other two teams in the Game Changers? Because you just described the playstyle of Serenity, so I wonder how you also judge the playstyles and strengths of the other two teams in the tournament.
I think the other two teams, they play a little bit of a similar style where they want to take an early lead and then push it really fast. They get a lot of objectives off of it. They move around the map really well. So for us, we wanted to focus on how to mitigate that snowball. And I think both teams are very, very good at that. I think any of these three teams can very easily get first place. I think I wouldn't be surprised if any of these teams got first place at the final LAN.
We will certainly be very excited for the LCS finals. Thank you for the conversation, Ms. Timo. One last question. Is there any kind of message or perhaps like anything that you want to say to all the fans as well as the fellow teammates that are possibly watching this interview?
Yes, I do. To first of all, to my team, to my teammates, and to my coaches, thank you so much for sticking through with me. I know I didn't have the greatest performance in the first 2 weeks of our games, and I want to say thank you to all my friends that helped me. I have a lot of friends that have been helping me throughout the 2 months, that have been coaching me, doing 1v1 sessions, and also to everybody who comes to my Twitch chat. I do stream on Twitch, and I'm very fortunate to have a very supportive community. And throughout this entire event, even from when I first started, when I tried out for Serenity, they've been very supportive, and I really just want to say thank you. I'm only here because of them, so thank you very much to everybody who supported me.
It's an amazing, and we will look forward to seeing you in person next week. And back to you, casters.
Yay! Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Miss Timo.
Is she sure she didn't play that well? She got a Zia permit against her. I don't think she played that bad.
She was very, very humble there. I think she was like, yeah, I hit a couple of shockwaves. This one team fight was really good. I'm like, no. You hit every single important shockwave throughout both of the games today. Miss Timo, take credit. You did that today.
I'm just casually 20C up against the highest rated mid laner in the advanced fight.
It's fine.
Fergal only has been absolutely stomping people all last week. Teams too. Actually, probably the thing I took away a lot of things there, as always. Ashley Kang absolutely smurfing the whole event.
Love the interviews.
Absolutely love the interviews. Hearing her talk about their teamwork and how obviously they've been looking to improve on that, and their communication, and they've gotten a lot better at predicting what their enemies is gonna do. That seemed very apparent throughout this series.
Yeah.
And that is a very insightful takeaway about what this team has done to improve, because this 2-0 you see on your screen now, as Serenity will be back to play against Arcana in our upcoming game, is testament to that ability to read their opponents and understand where they should be attacking, which again, given the short amount of time that the team has done that in, is very impressive. So we'll see them again. We'll see if they can continue their streak. Maybe they're the team that goes 4-0 this week, and of course Arcana after that are going to be playing at the end of the day against Astrocats, who will come back after playing here and maybe chilling out a little bit here, getting the vibes back in check after getting swept, because again, not how we expected the week to start.
No, by the way, the two previous series of Arcana versus Serenity have both been 1-1.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a 2-0 from Serenity yet. We haven't had an 0-2 from Astrocats yet.
That's true.
So
especially against
we could
Serenity.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely could be seeing some new things here. And some also new things is, once again, LCS Game Changers. If you would like to come see us next week in LA in person, claim your free tickets with the exclamation point tickets in the Twitch chat. Come see us play live in person. Once again, tickets are free.
They're
Cannot be free. And if you want to see the teams more online, then once again, follow all the teams' beautiful social medias. All three teams and all the players have their own personal social medias. Astrocats, Arcana, and Serenity. Make sure to follow all the teams and all the players here at the event.
Absolutely. It's a good time. Again, encourage the players to tweet more, because they're funny. They're very entertaining.
Rile's carrying everybody right now with the amount of tweets that she's got. But with that, once again, our next series being Serenity versus Arcana, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with the second series of our last exhibition matches.